All right, so today we got Raz again with some wholesome female opinions.
I always tell people I will never marry a man who is not comfortable accepting a reality where I cannot have children or I don't want to have children.
So, what's the point then? Love? If love is the goal, you wouldn't put that on a man you love, knowing he has alternative goals. I mean, look, we can play this game both ways all the time, and I'm sort of tired of this constant moving the goalposts as it suits me, and that's all of these opinions more or less. I'm just going to move the goalposts as it suits my narrative. Okay, if you truly love a man unconditionally, that means you love him with no conditions as to how he's going to treat you or anyone else around him. Technically speaking, if you truly loved him and he wants kids and you don't, you would just let him have the kids. It's that simple. All this is more female pandering bullshit where you have to do as I say, you must submit to me and what I want because what I want is always the most important. That's what this is all about. Let's continue.
The reason why I say this is because some men will marry out of convenience, and this is because they fundamentally see their wives as an extension of them. Their wives are there to bear children for them, to cook and clean, to make the home. Some of these people genuinely don't see their wives as an autonomous being who is their lifelong partner.
It could be both, you know. As a man, you want your woman to be an autonomous being, yes, but you also want her to be an extension of you, because that's just the natural order of things. On a deep subconscious level, she needs you to be that for her. Of course, it's taboo to say, but a lot of women let their lives completely descend into chaos without the presence of a man. To add an additional point, a lot of women that are 30 also marry out of convenience, so what's the talking point here?
If you couldn't find fulfillment in life with just me and me alone, then you shouldn't be marrying me.
I'm special, I'm special, I'm special. You should be fully fulfilled by me. If not, you're defective. That's essentially the narrative here.
Because to put it frankly, it happens. Infertility, miscarriages, or someone just changes their mind.
I need to address this because this is very, very important, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently. The reason why romance is dead is because women always want to control the script and narrative. Before, this just wasn't the case because there were so many real things that were standing in the way of two people being together. It wasn't necessarily arbitrary in nature. Let me give you an example of a common myth. Women wouldn't sleep with men very quickly. I think this is one of the biggest myths that's always told because it gives this perception that women are somehow purer before than they are now. That's not the case, guys. What it was is that there were so many barriers obstructing these two people from meeting and having sex. You had the prying eyes of the village. You had grandfathers. You had your father. You likely had many brothers. All these people were acting as a protective barrier from you and whatever guy you were seeing. You wanted to be with them and sleep with them, you just couldn't because there were so many barriers to cross and it was not that easy to sneak around. Enter now the modern era. Girls claim they want that same romance. With the guys they genuinely like, there is no barrier and they jump straight into bed with them without any issue. That guy may not give them what they thought they deserved, and now they go to the next guy and make him wait 10 days or whatever arbitrarily. As soon as that guy realizes it's arbitrary in nature, the fantasy is completely erased. Fighting the natural forces of the world is not the same as fighting the force that you arbitrarily created to gain power. Essentially, my point is this. You are not that special just because you're a marketing expert and you know how to set up this image of yourself as being special. You can tell yourself and your girlies that this is the case, but it will never work on a guy that's genuinely actualized and you actually want. The only guys that'll walk into this are guys that want to marry you out of convenience and guys that unknowingly don't live for themselves. Let's keep going.
Not to mention, a long, sustaining marriage requires a very, very strong couple. I think a lot of men and people in general think kids can fix a marriage, when in reality, more often than not, children drive a wedge between you and your partner.
I don't think a lot of people think that kids will fix a marriage. I think people throw kids in the mix as a last-ditch effort because they don't want to go back to the market to redo the process all over again, especially if you've been with that person for 8 years or so. By doing this, you're saying, F it, I'm going to try and let's see what happens. This is likely because the alternative option is just not that great. I guess you could argue it's a pragmatic decision instead of a spiritual decision.
And you have to be really strong and love each other a lot to be able to overcome that. Otherwise, it will literally be the downfall of your marriage. And oftentimes people let this wedge come between them and their partner. Resentment builds up after you have children. For example, the wife feels like her husband isn't helping her enough.
Kids will only amplify problems that already exist. If these problems didn't exist in the first place, they would never be amplified after the fact. You have to do your best to flesh out these feelings-based issues before you get to that point. The cold hard reality is that most people never get to that point. They just sort of let it be and hope that it goes away on its own. Hey guys, before we keep going, I want to let you know about my Modern Dating Mastery course. For those of you that don't know, Modern Dating Mastery focuses on teaching you everything you need to know when it comes to mastering modern dating. Whether you're just starting to date or you want to refine your knowledge further, I made this course for everyone. I've helped thousands of guys and their biggest struggle is communicating with women and understanding them. Even if they had a girl that was in love with them, eventually they would lose respect and the relationship would end. Or they would try too hard to be nice and end up their personal servant. Sometimes it's just as simple as being perceived the incorrect way. The truth is, most of them were great guys that were sadly misinformed about what women want. When I taught them the truth, things became a lot easier and their confidence in dating life improved. This is my goal with what I teach in Modern Dating Mastery. I go over all the mainstream dating lies you guys are told and correct them with the truth. And then I follow up with some theory to go over all the different ways that women will test you when you're dating them. Fundamental tests, social tests, physical tests, emotional tests, and even financial tests. Each section has videos where I break down exactly how she'll test you and how to respond. There are over 60 videos in total, and the course comes with a PDF cheat sheet for quick review. For those of you who are interested, I've got the course on sale right now for 67% off. Click the link at the top of the description to learn more about it. Alright, let's get back to the video.
And I cannot be with someone who only sees my relationship and me building a family with them as an extension of their life. I'm your partner, I'm another human being that you love and you're making a lifelong commitment to. If you cannot love me beyond the secondary things I bring to the table or the secondary things that I possess, such as being able to bear children or cooking and cleaning or my reproductive systems, then you do not love me and that will never be a successful marriage.
The automatic question I have when she says this is, what do you do to show your love for the man? You keep talking about me, what I need love from this, I need this, I'm not just a body for you, blah, blah, blah. So what do you do that shows the man that you love him that goes beyond just the surface level stuff? This is just more evidence, of course, that a lot of girls really don't care about the masculine perspective. It quite honestly feels like a bit of a projection, if I'm being real.
You just see me as an incubator and a maid. And another reason why I say this is because me personally, if my husband could not give me children, I could accept a reality like that.
Talk is cheap, of course. I wonder how that would hold up in reality if that's what you truly wanted. At the same time, though, I have to ask, what's wrong with loving your incubator? Technically speaking, all women are capable of being an incubator. What you're doing is you're using this language deliberately to try to paint this narrative that you only exist for your body. You can be the technical thing and still be loved for it. Guys are used as workhorses all the time. It doesn't mean they're not loved. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the whole video she posted is just a colorful way of playing the victim.
Because I know whoever I pick to be my husband is going to be someone I love from the bottom of my heart. And I could find fulfillment in a life with just him and accept a reality where I cannot have children. Because at the end of the day, if I had to pick children or a husband that I really love, I'm going to pick a husband. And I think it's really important that you have that foundation in a relationship, especially with men. Like again, you do not truly love me and you do not want to marry me if you can't be happy with me if there's no children. And listen, I get children are really important for some people for their own respective reasons and you are entitled to that. People value different things in life. And for me, having a fulfilling, romantic, loving marriage is something that I really value. And I think how your partner, especially your husband, views marriage and you inside of that marriage sets the precedent for the course of that relationship.
All this is a power grab. I'm loving the mental gymnastics at play here because everything she's saying sounds so nice on paper, but when you start boiling it down, it makes zero sense. She's talking about love and heavily implying that it's supposed to be unconditional. At the same time, though, her love is extremely conditional. To boil it down, she's saying this: if you really love me and I don't want to give you kids, even though you really want kids, you have to pick me over your kids. All this truly is spiritual pandering for the sake of power. I reserve the right to give you kids whether I want to or not, but you must love me regardless of what I do. If you had just said that simple sentence, you could have wrapped up this entire video in a span of 6 seconds.
How much he's actually going to bring to that marriage. God forbid down the road, let's say something happens to me, some pivotal thing in my life occurs and I'm like, I don't want to have kids anymore. And then he goes and tries to take a second.
She's already setting the stage for how she may want to change her mind. Your security does not matter. Only mine does. Now we've taken the video up to 10 seconds instead of 6.
Like, in my opinion, and the way that I view love, you never loved me to begin with, and you never should have married me to begin with.
The amount of cope that these girls deal with is on a whole nother level. I guess the only person that would be coping more is the guy that buys into this and takes it at face value.
You're not so ride or die that you can't see it through with me.
Just to add one more final example to this really annoying video. This is no different than the prenup conversation. If you bring the prenup, she'll say, oh, do you even love me? The prenup is supposed to be completely independent of whether or not you love them. Of course, it's always going to get spun emotionally because the woman loses power in that exchange. None of these things should matter when it comes to true love, right? If you like this video, like and subscribe. Don't forget to check the links in the description below.